lovelies, so welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into today's episode of Put a Ring on It. So it started off with Dumba having a moment with Dr. Stacy. So he was crying and expressing the fact that he was really struggling with anxiety and depression, and he's scared that Chance would leave him. I'm like, oh. He talks about how he was such an angry child and how growing up, that's sort of what he experienced. Like his father will come back and take out his anger on them as kids, and that, you know, he used to take that anger from the field when he was playing football and bring that into the house and be angry and yell at his woman and be abusive. I love how he called it what it was, which is abusive. But I think the first step is actually opening up about it and then getting the help that you need. So, of course, Dr. Stacy recommended that he gets help, but also speaks to Chance about it. And if she loves him, she will help him and support him through it. And if not, it's fine either way, because then he can at least go through it and experience a breakthrough for himself, right? So all good advice and whatnot. So now the couples are back in the meeting with Dr. Stacy. Interestingly enough, they waited for Dunbar and Chance to show up, but they did not show up. So Dr. Stacy went ahead with the two couples that showed up, and so was asking Ricky about his date. So Ricky was like, oh, you know, she was cool. We got along, we talked, and we also talked about some of the issues that I'm having with her. So Ricky was basically saying that with his baby moms, you know, sometimes he stays the night over there, and that his date was completely fine with it. And I'm like, yeah, she's fine now. So Ricky's girlfriend was like, well, that was how cool she was when they were just friends at the time. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone in a relationship will be super cool with that. Like, they can put up with it with communication and be okay with it, but I don't think they will be super, super duper cool about it. So Dr. Stacy was like, so after the date, you know, how did it go? So they were both saying that, oh, they sat down, they talked about it, and that in the end, they were just able to express like some of the things that Ricky had shared with Shayla while she was on the date. So anyways, Dr. Stacy was like giving them props for the fact that it brought them closer even after the date. So she was then asking Ricky, like, would Shayla be getting a second date? So initially Ricky said no, because he was like, he doesn't want anything to make Catherine feel bad, or he doesn't want to put Catherine in a difficult position in that sense. Dr. Stacy was like, I don't work with the process. And I'm like, yeah, that's the process you signed up for. It is put a ring on it. That's what you all do. So cut it out, sir. So eventually he agreed to go on a second date with Sheila. I'm like, yeah, that's the process you signed up for, bro. So moving on to Joya and Jaysha. So Jaysha was talking about his date with Celine, and he was like, they did good. They came through with the pow pow. Like, you know, the face was speaking, the body was on point, all of that. He was feeling, yeah, that girl is definitely a baddie, okay? Do you hear me? So, of course, he starts talking about how he had such a good date with her, and a lot of things, like they connected on like the fact that they like meditation and ETCs and chakras and whatnot, right? And all those new age practices. And other things that they connected on. But he said that he will not be getting another date with her because he just felt like the energy wasn't really there. I'm like, the energy was there, right? But you don't want Joya to be upset, so you're gonna say no. And I feel like that's exactly what that was. But yeah, Joya was so happy, I have to say. She was like, like you could see her beaming with joy that this man is not going to be going on another date with that Atlanta baddie. So then Dr. Stacy tells them that they'll be going on dates with their exes. And so Joe and Jaysha, of course, were not really keen on that. But funny enough, their exes too weren't keen on meeting or going on dates with them. So it turns out that it's only going to be Catherine and Ricky that will be going on dates. So Ricky went on a date with his ex-wife, and so during the dates they were talking about the co-parenting thing, and she was saying that she feels like Kat has been like insecure But she is also trying to understand from her perspective and like see if there are any boundaries that they could draw. So for instance, the sleeping over thing, she's like, that has stopped, which I'm like, okay, that's good. But she did say one thing that I thought was really important. She said it would be helpful if Kat could set out what her concerns are, or what boundaries she wants, so that they can then discuss it. Because I think she's being very vague. It's like, you're being vague about it. What exactly do you need from Ricky on this issue? And I think she needs to be more vocal about that. She also suggested that all three of them go out together. And I think that's a good idea, because I think once Kath and Ricky's ex-wife have a good relationship, where there's a relationship of trust and confidence and all of that, Kat would naturally feel easier about these things. And it might even be a relationship where she calls Kat up here and there for things to do with Ricky. So it could also work in that way as well. So over on the other side, Joya and Jaysha were having a private one-on-one session with Dr. Stacy. Dr. Stacy came over with the outfit, and I was like, okay, Dr. Stacy, you got a little fashion stance on you. So Dr. Stacy was like, let's talk about the exes. And so she was asking about how co-parenting is going and things like that. And so it seemed like, okay, co-parenting was going well. And so she asked Joya about why does she want a child now? And so she's like, initially before having her son, she's always wanted to have children, and it wasn't just one that she intended to have. But then, of course, she wanted to have the child or her children when she was married. And so she would like her child to have a sibling. And now that she's in a relationship, she loves him and everything is going well, she would love to bring a child into their union. So of course Dr. Stacey is like, okay, all well and good. I love how, everything is like very well thought out. But I want to have a one-on-one with Jaysha. So then she starts talking to Jaysha alone, and she brought up the fact that how does it feel to have another man pretty much raising his child, and how does that make him feel? I'm like, wow, that's such a deep question and an important one as well. And how has that affected him? He's like, yeah, it's really hard that you wonder the memories that they're having that you're not a part of. And so Dr. Stacey asked a direct question, like, do you feel a fear as a result of that is holding you back? And he's like, yes, he does feel a fear about it. Also, he wants to be able to provide for his children. I'm like, yes, fair enough. I think because in his first marriage, it sounds like there was a point where he struggled financially and could not provide for his family. And I feel like he is scared that could happen again. And if that happens again, he will end up losing his family. And I think that's probably why he's not going ahead with Joya. Moving on to the dates with the ex, Catherine's ex, Corey, came over to their house. And so he came in, sat and talked to Catherine and Ricky. And so he starts saying like, when we dated, man, she was so hot-headed. Like, how are you dealing? And Ricky's like, yo, she's still hot-headed, but she's a little bit better now and she is working on it and we're just like growing together based on that. I'm like, okay. So Corey and Catherine went on a date and they were talking about like the sort of situations that happened in their relationship. And so she brought up the fact that throughout the relationship, it felt like they were butting heads over his baby mother. And so apparently that was the main issue in their relationship. She felt like he could have been more vocal and he could have drawn boundaries between her and the baby's mother, but he didn't. And she just was not here for it, basically. It was interesting that he was like, he wished that he could have handled it differently. What was interesting is I actually like Catherine because she is honest, she takes accountability, and she has this thing where she thinks back, so she's retrospective in that way, right? So she was like thinking about it now, that the situation with her and Corey is why she then had that insecurity, and is now bringing that insecurity into her relationship with Ricky and his baby's mother. I'm like, bingo, like, this is completely exactly correct. I feel like because she had such a bad experience with Corey and his baby's mother, I feel like she's now projecting on Ricky and his wife, his baby ex-wife rather. The thing about it is, from Catherine's interaction with Ricky's ex-wife, it shows that there's a relationship of, they might not be tight or whatnot, but they're cool, right? And she didn't show or give any sort of inkling that she wasn't cool and there was like conflict between them at all. So which makes me think that there is a decent relationship between both of them for them to be able to iron out whatever boundaries they want across the board. But it's interesting. I think she's definitely projecting some of her hurts. Now, of course, I don't agree with the whole sleeping over thing and stuff. It's just weird. It just could bring up things. It's just a bit uncomfortable, if I'm being honest. Now, guys, this is where it got interesting. So Dr. Stacey had a sit down with Dumba and Chance, and yeah, it was hella rough. So then Dumba starts talking about, like, they've both decided that they just want to be together, and like they don't want to date other people, and that he's no longer depressed. And that's now, when a man fully submits to the creator, and, then I don't even know what he was going on about, but it was very much given like they coached it. And Chance kept looking at him. I'm like, Chance, are you controlling this man? Because she kept looking at him sort of like, yes, say it like we said it, sort of thing. Like, let me know if you guys feel the same way, but it was very much given that, right? So then Dr. Stacey is like, so the depression just went away? And he's like, yes. And Dr. Stacey was like, you were doing such a good work and you were making headway and things were going really well. And that she was disappointed to hear that. And so then Dr. Stacey was like, yeah, but I thought like you would tell Chance and then that would bring you guys closer, because you did say to me that you didn't trust her. And so then Chance looked at him and said, baby, is that what you said? Or is she putting words in your mouth? And he was like, I don't think I used those words. So then he tries to clean it up and say, what I'm trying to say is that, when I tend to give everyone everything, and then that's when it tends to like fall apart. So that's where the trust thing comes in. And she was just looking like, And so Dr. Stacey was like, it might not even have anything to do with you, but it could be something in his past that is causing him to not fully trust you, which needs to be explored. So then Dr. Stacey is like, it breaks my heart that, you are betraying yourself, I guess, by not exploring it. And then Chance was like, okay, let's talk now. Like, that was such an aggressive move. I'm like, sister, dial it down. You guys are already talking. So Chance gets heated and she's like, how am I betraying myself by choosing to work with a man that I love? She starts doing the neck roll, the head roll. Let's talk about it. I'm like, girl, you need to dial it back. Like, it's a level of respect. Like, there is no need for you to get this heated, sis. Dr. Stacey starts telling them that she saw so much promise in them and like they're betraying themselves by not, addressing it, and that it was a red flag that needs to be addressed, not red flag to run. And like, this is something that they should be working together on, and then which will ultimately improve their relationship, but instead they're choosing to run. I personally don't think that Dunbar and Chance thought it was going to be that deep. They thought it was going to be a walk in a park. They thought it's like, oh, this could be fun. Let's do it. They didn't really think about how intense the process would be, how demanding the process would be. Also, they probably did not expect Dr. Stacy, because Dr. Nicole would have been talking around in circles and giving the elephant analogies and all these things. So I think they weren't expecting it to be that truthful and brutal. They were probably expecting like a walk in a park, and I'm sorry, girls. I'm sorry, guy and girl. It just ain't it. So of course, Dr. Stacy expresses how disappointed she is in them and the fact that they're not willing to, like, stay the course and whatnot. And then she was like, I wish you nothing but the best. If you guys ever need me, reach out. Do you know what? Dr. Stacy seemed genuinely concerned about them. You could see it from her face that she loves her clients and she really was looking forward to working with them and helping them. And she was definitely, she had the look of disappointment on her face, and she had the look of like, this is BS. Like they just don't want to do the work, and then they're going to run. So that's pretty much where the episode ended. And then there was a preview of the next episode, which is looking like it's going to be interesting. So please give this video a thumbs up if you like this video. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and tap that bell for notifications so you know every single time that I post. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.